What if the man who made you feel alive was the one thing that could destroy your entire career? Beau Thompson stood at attention in the briefing room at Fort Liberty, North Carolina, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a swarm of accusations. At 32, he was the kind of officer other soldiers looked up to on paper. Sharp uniform, steady gaze. Medals earned the hard way in training rotations that left scars no one saw. But today the stares from his unit felt heavier. Captain Beau Thompson, they whispered when they thought he couldn't hear, the guy who never joined the locker room jokes, the one whose eyes never lingered on the women at the base bar. He kept his face blank while Colonel Ramirez droned on about the upcoming joint exercise in the Mojave. Thompson, you're leading Alpha Team. Don't screw it up. The words were routine, but the pause before them wasn't. Ramirez's eyes flicked to the empty seat beside Beau, where Sergeant Klein usually sat, the same sergeant who had accidentally spilled coffee on Beau's personnel file last week after a late-night training run. Beau knew what they suspected. He had known for years. That night, he drove 2 hours to Raleigh, parking in the shadow of an old oak tree outside Warren Hayes' apartment. Warren opened the door in a gray sweater, his dark hair still damp from a shower, and the sight of him hit Beau like incoming fire. 3 years together, and every stolen hour still felt like a miracle and a landmine at the same time. You look exhausted, Warren said, pulling him inside without a word spoken aloud. They didn't kiss in the doorway anymore. Too risky. Instead, Warren handed him a cold beer, and they sat on the couch, knees touching, voices low. Ramirez is riding me again, Beau muttered. He didn't say it, but the way he looked at me, I swear he knows. Warren's hand found his, thumb tracing the callus on Beau's palm from years of rifle drills. Then maybe it's time we stop pretending. You're a damn good officer, Beau. They need you more than you need their approval. Beau laughed without humor. Tell that to my father in Texas. He still brags about his real man son to the church group. If I come out, it's not just the Army. It's Mom's Sunday calls, my little sister's wedding photos. I'll never be in the same way. It's everything. Warren didn't push. He never did. That was what made the love hurt more. Warren understood the weight without asking Beau to carry less. They talked until midnight about nothing and everything. Warren's latest architecture project for a veteran housing complex. Beau's fear that the Mojave exercise would be the one where someone finally said the word gay out loud in a report. When Beau left at 2 a.m., Warren hugged him at the door, the kind of hug that said stay safe without saying it. Back at base the next morning, Beau found a note taped to his locker. Block letters. We know what you are, Captain. His stomach dropped, but he crumpled the paper and burned it in the trash can outside. He had a job to do. Alpha Team was counting on him, even if half of them would rather follow anyone else. The days blurred into preparation. Beau drilled his men harder than ever, voice steady, decisions crisp. At night, he texted Warren single words, safe. Miss you. And stared at the ceiling of his quarters wondering how long he could keep the two halves of his life from colliding. Then the orders changed. The Mojave exercise had morphed into something real. A classified support mission for a hostage rescue simulation turned live when intelligence picked up actual movement near the training zone. Beau's team was going wheels up in 72 hours. And Colonel Ramirez had added a civilian consultant to the roster. Beau read the name and felt the ground shift under his boots. Warren Hayes. Warren arrived on base at dawn wearing khakis and a pressed polo, ID badge clipped to his shirt like he belonged there. Beau spotted him across the tarmac and for one reckless second forgot every rule he had drilled into himself. Their eyes met. Warren gave the smallest nod, the one that meant I'm here for you, not the mission. Beau looked away before anyone noticed. The briefing room smelled of coffee and tension. Ramirez laid out the scenario, a mock village in the desert where hostages were being held by a trained opposition force. But the exercise had leaked real coordinates, and now intelligence believed actual threats were using the area as cover. Beau's Alpha Team would insert by Black Hawk, secure the perimeter, extract the targets. Warren's role, civilian architect with top-secret clearance for structural analysis, was to map possible escape tunnels on the fly. Any questions? Ramirez asked, eyes sliding to Beau. Beau kept his voice flat. Rules of engagement remain the same, sir? Same as always, Captain. But let's be clear, this isn't a pride parade. Get the job done. The room chuckled. Beau felt the burn in his chest, but smiled like it was nothing. After the briefing, Warren caught him in the hallway, pretending to study a map. We can do this, he whispered. I'll stay out of your way. No one will know. Beau wanted to reach for him right there, but two privates walked past laughing about weekend plans. Just stay alive, Beau said instead. That's all I need. The next 48 hours were a storm of checks and double checks. Beau reviewed every contingency with his team, ignoring the sidelong glances when he corrected Klein's patrol route for the third time. At mess hall that evening, a young lieutenant named Patel sat across from him. Captain, you're the only one who actually cares if we come back in one piece, Patel said quietly. The others, they talk. I don't listen. It was the closest thing to support Beau had heard in months, and it almost broke him. That night, he called his parents on a burner phone from the parking lot. His mother answered on the second ring. Beau, honey, when are you coming home for your sister's engagement party? Soon as I can, Mom. He swallowed. Dad around. His father's voice boomed through the speaker. Proud of you, son. Real proud. Keep making us look good out there. Beau hung up and pressed the phone to his forehead. The lie felt heavier than his body armor. Warren found him there, leaning against the Humvee. They didn't touch. They just stood 3 feet apart under the sodium lights, sharing silence the way other couples shared kisses. I love you, Warren said so softly the wind almost stole it. No matter what happens out there. Beau closed his eyes. I know. God, I know. Wheels up came at 0400. The Black Hawk thundered into the dark, rotors slicing the night. Beau sat shoulder to shoulder with his men, Warren strapped in across from him. Their knees brushed once during turbulence. No one noticed. Beau allowed himself one glance. Warren's calm face, the same face that had held him through nightmares back in Raleigh. Whatever came next, Beau promised himself he would get them both home. The desert rose up beneath them, cold and endless. Alpha Team fast roped into the sand, weapons hot, hearts louder. Beau gave the hand signals, and they moved like the unit he had trained them to be. Warren stayed close to the rear, tablet glowing faintly as he scanned for structural weak points. For the first hour, everything went textbook. Then the first shots cracked across the dunes. The opposition wasn't simulated anymore. Real muzzle flashes lit the night like fireworks from hell. Beau's voice cut through the chaos on comms. Contact front. Klein, flank left. Patel, cover the ridge. He moved on instinct, rifle up, dragging a wounded private behind a low wall. Adrenaline burned away every doubt. In this moment, he was only Captain Thompson, and his men followed without hesitation. Warren's voice came steady over the private channel they had agreed on. Beau, there's a dry wash 50 meters east. It leads to an old tunnel network. We can use it for exfil. Copy. Moving now. Beau signaled the team. They leapfrogged toward the wash, bullets kicking up sand at their heels. Klein took a graze to the shoulder, but kept firing. Beau felt a surge of fierce pride. This was his unit, prejudice or not. They reached the tunnel mouth just as a grenade landed 10 yards away. The blast threw Beau against the rock wall. Pain exploded in his ribs, but he rolled to his feet and shoved Warren deeper inside. Go. I've got rear. Warren hesitated only a second, then obeyed. Inside the tunnel, the air was cool and stale. Warren's tablet cast blue light on ancient support beams. This whole section is unstable, he whispered. One wrong move, and it collapses. Beau keyed his mic. Alpha, hold position. Warren's mapping. Klein's voice crackled back, strained. Captain, we've got movement above. They're circling. Beau made the call. We push through. Warren leads. They moved single file, Warren calling out turns, Beau covering the rear. Every step echoed with the weight of what he carried. The secret that could ruin him if anyone saw how carefully he guarded Warren's back. Halfway through, a support beam cracked above them. Sand poured down. Warren shouted, Run. They sprinted. Beau grabbed the last private and hurled him forward just as the roof gave way behind them. Dust choked the air. When it settled, half the tunnel was gone, and so was their rear exit. Beau's ribs screamed, but he kept his voice calm. New plan. We blow the far end and call for extraction. Warren looked at him in the dim light, eyes shining with something deeper than fear. You always find the way out, he said quietly. They reached the far end. Beau set the charges himself while Warren coordinated air support. The explosion ripped open the desert night. Fresh air rushed in, and with it the sound of approaching rotors. But the opposition had followed the blast. Bullets stitched the sand as the team poured out. Beau laid down suppressive fire, standing in the open while his men loaded onto the hovering Black Hawk. Klein was already aboard, Patel dragging the wounded. Warren waited at the ramp. "Beau, come on," Warren yelled. One more burst from Beau's rifle. Then he turned and ran. A round caught him high in the left arm. Pain flared white-hot, but he kept moving. Warren reached out, grabbed his vest, and hauled him inside. The bird lifted as enemy fire pinged off the armor. Beau slumped against the bulkhead, blood soaking his sleeve. Warren knelt beside him, pressure bandage already in hand, voice steady for the medic, but eyes telling Beau everything words couldn't. In that moment, surrounded by the men who had just fought beside him, Beau realized something that terrified him more than the wound. He no longer wanted to hide. They touched down at the forward operating base just after sunrise. Medics swarmed Beau, cutting away his sleeve, stitching the graze that had missed bone by inches. Warren stayed in the hallway outside the tent, pacing, until Colonel Ramirez appeared. "Hayes, report," Ramirez snapped. Warren straightened. "Tunnel network confirmed and used for exfil, sir." Captain Thompson's call saved the team. Ramirez grunted. "Thompson's lucky you were there." The tone said otherwise. Inside the tent, Beau heard every word. He closed his eyes against the sting of antiseptic and the deeper sting of still being seen as the weak link. When they finally let him out, arm in a sling, the whole unit was waiting. No one spoke at first. Then Klein stepped forward, shoulder bandaged, and extended his good hand. "Captain, thank you." Beau took it. The handshake felt like the first honest one in years. Patel nodded beside him. "You stood in the open for us, sir. That's not something we forget." The praise should have felt good. Instead, it hollowed him out. They respected the soldier, but still didn't know the man. Warren caught his eye across the group and gave the smallest smile. Beau looked away before the truth showed. Back at Fort Liberty 3 days later, the rumors had already shifted. Captain took a bullet covering the team, led them through a collapsing tunnel. Suddenly, the whispers in the mess hall carried a different tone. But Beau knew it was fragile. One leaked photo, one careless word, and the respect would vanish. Warren flew home the same afternoon. They met at the same oak tree parking lot after dark. This time, Beau didn't wait. He pulled Warren into his arms right there in the shadows and held on like the desert might steal him again. "I almost lost you," Warren whispered against his neck. "You didn't. But I almost lost myself." Beau pulled back just enough to see Warren's face. "I'm tired of pretending. The mission had showed me what matters. My team fought beside me without knowing the whole truth. Maybe they deserved to." Warren's eyes searched his. "You sure?" "The army, your family. I'm sure of you," Beau said. "That's enough to start with." They spent the night talking strategy the way soldiers do. Timelines, risks, contingencies. Warren would stand beside him no matter the fallout. Beau would file the paperwork when he was ready. For the first time, the future felt possible instead of impossible. The next morning, Beau walked into Ramirez's office, arms still in sling, and requested a private meeting. Ramirez leaned back, eyebrows raised. "Make it quick, Captain." Beau kept his voice even. "Sir, after the mission, I believe it's time I address some assumptions about my personal life." Ramirez's face tightened. "If this is about what I think it is, Thompson, you might want to reconsider. The Army has rules. Had rules, sir. Things are changing." Beau met his stare. "I'm gay. And I'm still the best officer you've got." The silence stretched. Ramirez finally spoke. "You just got shot proving that. But proving it on paper is different. Think about your career." "I have, sir. Every night for 3 years." Beau placed a single sheet on the desk, his formal statement. "I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you. The rest is up to the chain of command." He walked out before Ramirez could reply. The hallway felt lighter, even with the sling. Word traveled fast. By lunch, the entire company knew. Some stares turned cold again, others turned thoughtful. Klein found Beau at the range, adjusting his grip one-handed. "Captain, I don't care who you love. You brought me home. That's what matters." Beau nodded once, throat tight. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a start. That evening, he called his parents on speaker so Warren could hear. His mother cried. His father went quiet for a long minute, then said, "Son, I raised you to be brave. If this is who you are, then we'll figure it out." It wasn't perfect. It was enough. Warren moved in a week later, quietly, into off-base housing. They cooked dinner together for the first time without glancing at the clock. Beau laughed when Warren burned the rice, and the sound felt foreign and wonderful. The official review came 30 days later. Ramirez sat across the table with two other officers. "Your performance in the Mojave is noted. Exceptional leadership. The wound you took well, it speaks for itself." He slid a folder across. "Promotion packet is approved. But understand, Thompson, openly gay in this command still draws eyes. You'll have to be twice as good." Beau smiled for the first time in that room. "I already am, sir." Outside, Warren waited in the car. Beau slid into the passenger seat and leaned across the console to kiss him, right there in the parking lot in broad daylight. No one honked. No one stared long enough to matter. The world hadn't ended. It had simply shifted. Months passed. Beau's new command welcomed him without fanfare. Patel became a steady friend who asked real questions over coffee. Klein brought his wife to a unit barbecue and introduced Warren as the guy who mapped us out of hell. Small moments stacked like sandbags against the old doubts. Beau still woke some nights with desert dust in his throat, but now Warren's arm across his chest grounded him. They talked about the future, maybe Warren's architecture firm expanding to military housing, maybe Beau mentoring the next generation of officers who didn't have to hide. One crisp autumn evening they drove back to the same oak tree where it all began. Warren pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple silver band etched with coordinates from the Mojave Tunnel exit. "Not yet," Warren said softly. "But when you're ready. When the whole world knows and still salutes you." Beau slipped the ring onto his dog-tag chain, right beside his blood type. "I'm ready now," he said. "Let's go home." The following spring, Beau stood on the parade ground in dress uniform, new major's oak leaves gleaming. The entire battalion was assembled. Ramirez pinned the rank himself, grip firm. "You earned this, Thompson. All of it." Later at the reception, Warren stood beside him openly, hand brushing Beau's when no one was looking. Family had flown in, his mother hugging Warren like he was already a son, his father shaking hands with quiet pride. Beau's sister took photos of all four of them together, no secrets left in the frame. That night, alone in their apartment, Beau finally said the words he had carried since the desert. "I thought loving you would break me. Instead, it made me the man I always wanted to be." Warren rested his forehead against Beau's. "You were already that man. I just reminded you." Outside, the North Carolina sky stretched clear and wide. No more hiding. No more notes on lockers. The mission that had nearly killed them had instead set them free. Beau looked at the ring still on his chain and smiled. Tomorrow he would wear it on his finger for the whole base to see. Some battles are fought in silence. Others are won when you finally speak. In the end, the man who once feared his greatest love would destroy his career discovered it was the very thing that saved it. Personal reflection. This story isn't just about one officer's courage. It's about every person who has carried a secret while trying to serve something bigger than themselves. Beau and Warren remind us that authenticity isn't weakness. It's the foundation of real strength. The lesson is simple. When you stop hiding who you love, you stop hiding who you are. And the world, slowly but surely, learns to stand at attention. Live honestly. Love openly. The mission that matters most is the one that brings you home to yourself.